Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cryptic Lane Podcast. My name's Dominic.
And my name's Gavin.
In this podcast, we discuss all things weird, creepy, disturbing from our world and beyond. Today, we're going to be talking about our own paranormal experiences. All right, so we're back in the studio.
A little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Not supposed to be a break.
Not supposed to be a break at all.
Technical difficulties.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do in the audio?
So we have a lost holiday special.
Right, if anybody finds it, you can hack into our computers and find the you're only going to be able to watch like a quarter of it because the audio only works through a quarter. But, in the last episode, we talked about the Michigan Dog Man. We went through a few different occurrences, our own thoughts on it, talking about his genitalia. And I think we really got somewhere.
Yeah.
We really got somewhere with that episode. So this is definitely fun. Definitely something we're going to want to keep doing. And,
everything should be looking significantly better.
Oh, yeah. We got some studio lights. We got our assistant Jeff in the back mixing everything.
Sound, not quite yet. Not quite
soon
yet.
Very soon. We might have headphones here soon, listening to 24/7 K-pop.
And new mics.
Yes. So, all right. Well, I guess I'd like to start this off by saying the reason that I started getting into all this stuff is because of my own personal experiences. That's why I kind of got into paranormal things in general, because I figured I guess when you kind of experience something, you look deeper into it and you're like, there's got to be more, right? There's got to be more. When I was in so my first paranormal experiences, when I'm talking about paranormal experiences, I understand that falls under a lot of different categories. I think mine's more supernatural. Mine's beings and spirits instead of hairy guys running around in the forest. So I guess I'll start off with my first story, and then you can kind of go on and we can kind of go back and forth. But my first story is when I was in third grade. I knew ghosts exist, obviously. So you're you're a little kid. You can kind of comprehend the idea of ghosts.
Yeah.
It's not really you don't really have anything to fear until you actually think you see one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in third grade. I think it's the summer. And mind you, my house is built in the late 60s. Before that, it was dirt road. All the roads around us were dirt road. Everything was farmland.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm standing there, and I come into my kitchen, and I turn back, and there's a doorway, there's a passing way into the hallway, and I turn around, and I see just a man standing there. He's just standing there in a white dress shirt, brown khakis, and dress shoes. And so we're just kind of looking at each other. And it occurs to me, holy crap, this is a ghost. And the weirdest thing, and keep this in mind because this is a little bit of a long story, but I don't want to go on a tangent, but this is very interesting to me. He had a red splotch, he had been either shot or stabbed on his shoulder. And that can be fatal. That shot right there can 100% be fatal. Into the lungs, into past your ribs. So I just see that, and I turn around, and little 8 or 9-year-old me just starts. I think that's the age you are in second grade. Just starts running to my couch, and I don't tell anybody about it for probably a few days. We get into it probably a couple years later. I'm not thinking anything of it, and my sister, she obviously was still living in the house at the time. She's older than me by quite a few years, and she was in the hallway. Right in the hallway, that was the passing lane right to the and mind you, I don't think I told her at this time. I'm almost certain I only told my mom, because my mom's super into paranormal stuff. But I was walking, or she said she was walking down the hallway, and she saw a man with a red splotch on his shoulder walk past her. And I was like, this is getting real. Okay, this is getting scary. And so I told everybody, and of course my mom had already known, but my mom has had so many different paranormal experiences, or supernatural experiences just in general. I was like, she's got to know something about this, right? Because she watches all those all those TV specials and stuff like that, which I'm granted half of those are bogus, but so she's we're all kind of involved in this now. My mom is the last one to see this guy, and nobody's seen him since. This is probably 5 years ago. She comes downstairs. She's standing right there at the bottom of the stairs, and she looks right there in that doorway, and she sees him standing there, the same guy that I saw.
That's wild.
It is. It gets even worse. So I guess I can kind of intertwine with this with another kind of ghost story, but they mend, and I'll tell you why. I'm pretty sure my family's haunted. Let me just start that. So I don't mean to keep going on, but this is scary to me. So I'm 12 years old. I'm watching WWE Monday Night Raw in my room, which is not my room anymore. This is the room where we run the computer. And so I'm standing there, and I'm sitting there, and I look down at my bed sheets, because I don't have a phone yet or anything like that, and I look back at the TV, and there's a girl in white standing there with long black hair. She looks around my age. She's watching Randy Orton on the TV, and I can see right through her. And of course, I scream. I'm like, what in the world? My mom comes in, my mom turns on the light, and she's gone. I then had a dream 2 years later. I was in middle school. It's a weird time. I was having a lot of weird dreams at this time. That they were related. That the girl and the man were related. And that they lived on the farm together, and the man had gotten hurt using heavy machinery. And that they were related, and that is why he had got his arm stuck, and she raced over to him and over his dead body, and then she had died years later. So there's this entire storyline that's been created through experiences and dreams going on inside of this household. And so it's terrifying every time I hear something, or when I'm down here. When I'm down here, I either have none of the lights on, because I'm right there, right in front of the TV, or I have all the lights on. And it's terrifying, because this is ghost central. That's why I personally believe in it. I mean, I could be absolutely insane. I could slip something, but just from what I've seen, that's what I believe. So that's my first story. I have some other ones, but I'd like to hear some of yours.
Yeah, that was a very interesting.
It's in depth.
Just because how multiple people have seen it, and then the dream kind of I guess tied it together.
Exactly. And that could have 100% been my own imagination, but the fact that it happened years after I would have thought about it, I guess, it's kind of crazy.
So, ghost story for me, or paranormal story. Guess I'll start with something the most recent, and my most recent birthday, actually.
No, I was there.
Yeah. Were you there when I got my grandmother's ashes as a gift, or did you leave?
No, I think I left before that.
Okay, so
it's terrible.
Well, let's rewind.
Yeah, please.
Swine. At my birthday party,
right.
Doing birthday things.
Eating cake.
Yep. And my aunt, so their relationship with their mom, they didn't really have a relationship with their mom that much. They were raised by their stepmom. So I don't know who had the ashes. Mm-hmm. But somehow they came into the possession of my aunt. They were just dropped off at her house. And they were just joking about them being haunted and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But come to my birthday, I got her ashes as a gift, which... Did
you get them in a little capsule, or was it the entire,
No, it's the entire urn.
Oh, man.
And so, it's funny, I guess.
Right.
Not really. I didn't know her at all, but...
Yeah, right. You're not. It's yeah.
She died when I was, really young.
Oh, okay.
Come later that night, I have, a plague doctor mask. Mm-hmm. That's... I don't know.
Bring that set, man.
And, they have the big glass eyes, right?
Right. Long beak.
Mm-hmm. So my mom takes a picture of me, and you see... We're in the house at this point. It's the end of the night. We're in the house. And my mom takes a picture of me. We zoom into the eye. There is, clear as day, just a woman standing in the hallway.
Oh, I have chills right now.
Clear as day.
That's so terrifying.
If I can find the picture, I'll try to put one up.
Yeah.
But it was clear as day. And I don't know what my grandmother would have looked like when she was younger. I don't know. I didn't know her.
Right, exactly.
My dad and aunts and uncles didn't really know her that well, so...
Oh my god. Dude, that's terrifying. That's terrible and terrifying.
It was just, clear as... it's right there.
Dude. Oh, god. Alright. That's scary. First off, that's, terrifying. That's... my story's more in depth, but that's, scary. I don't know, but... Oh my god. Chase that, man.
We tried to recreate the picture, and it was not. We couldn't really. So,
dude, that's insane. So, my next story is about my niece. She lived here. She's my sister's child. She lived here until she was probably 8 or 9. And this is scary. So, my room now used to be my sister's room. My sister shared the room with her daughter. Mm-hmm. So, we're just chilling in the room. Everybody's having a good time. We're kind of just walking around, just conversating, looking up looking up like actual ghost things. Now I'll tell you why we were looking up actual ghost things, because probably 20 minutes prior to us getting in the room, I walk in and my niece is just staring at the closet, and my sister will not move a muscle. And I'm like, what's going on? She's like, well, your niece just said that she saw a man with a hat on hanging in the closet. Mind you, she's 2 or 3 at this time. What 2 or 3-year-old knows what a man hanging in a closet? What 2 or 3-year-old has the concept of suicide? That's terrifying.
That's too young to even put something like that
together. And this brings up a good point. Ghosts show themselves to people who they believe are more pure. Like, that's like a believed like concept.
Yeah, like animals and kids.
Exactly. And so, oh my god! And you know how much my dog is it's just. And so my dog will freak out and stuff like that too. But just hearing, like, we looked up like public records to see if there's any like deaths in the house or anything like that in the area. We couldn't find anything. But ever since then, it's my room now, and I can't open that closet. Like, if I sleep with my closet open, the other side is fine. And it's weird because it's one closet. But if I open, I have chills right now. Like you can see them how bad they are. But if I walk into my room and that door is just like open, if my mom left it open, I'm like, no, I gotta leave. I can't see myself in this room. But it's just scary.
Yeah, that's just because she was so young
exactly.
at the time. Like,
and if I saw something like that, I'd be like, that's terrifying. But I wouldn't be like, it's out of the blue as much as it's for somebody who's like 2 or 3. Innocent little freaking kid doesn't do that concept.
Funny thing, like with the whole back to like the innocent and like dog and kids thing, it's always weird. Like when your dog just stares blankly at a wall.
Oh my god! And then, or when they're just barking at something that's like not there, you're just like, because I mean, I guess that does kind of foster that idea of purity is shown when or ghosts are shown when you're more pure. And that brings up a very interesting topic, and kind of a topic that I've been like doing a lot of research into. They say when you're closer to death, you can see, like, you're kind of on the fringe of the 2 dimensions. So there's this concept, I forgot the exact name of it, but it's where it was a guy who was doing research on it, and he said that there was patients that he was talking to where if they were closer to death, they could see like angels and demons, like fighting. And I'm
like they're crossing that plane, I guess.
Exactly. They're like going into a different being and like a state of spirituality. And that's just, and maybe it's like when you're born, you're still maybe still on that fringe. You know what I mean? Like your soul is still crossing over, so that's why you have more of an eye into that kind of, other worldly side.
There's like that whole thing about that little bit of weight you lose every eye, and they say that's like your soul.
Exactly. It's actually, I'm pretty sure it's your gases that are just leaking from your body. But you can hear, after you die, you can hear for another like hour. You can't comprehend any of it because your brain is shut off, but your ears are still functioning. It's just, what do you see when you die? Next episode, I'm going to kill Gavin, and then I'm going to bring him back to life and see what he sees. He might be brain dead, but that's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to inject you with like some kind of poison, and then I'm just going to clear, and then bring you back. You'll be fine. It'll be like
flatline a little bit.
Yes, we're going to get Kevin Bacon and all those other people in that movie. And then we're going to bring him back into the podcast. We're going to talk about it. But after death is such an interesting concept, but we'll never know what it's like.
Yeah.
We need to do some of our own research. We need to hire.
There are people that have said
they've like come back.
It's hard to tell because like a lot of it's probably like hallucinating.
Oh yeah.
So much gets like released when you're like
exactly. It's like that 7 minutes theory, where it's like, apparently your life flashes before your eyes in 7 minutes after you died, and what if we're in that 7 minutes right now and that's we have deja vu because we've actually done all that stuff before? That's terrifying.
Wild.
That hurts my feelings. Like that gives me like
there is like weird a whole nother topic that I'll get into later.
Yeah.
But I swear swear to God, seen the future in my dreams.
Okay. Yes. My mom. This is kind of on topic because it's like, I guess, clairvoyance and kind of stuff like that. But because I believe in clairvoyance. Like, I believe in like people who can.
I have like a very specific example too.
So I want to hear that because that's like I'm so interested in that stuff. My mom had a dream that my aunt got into a car accident, and then the next day my aunt got into a car accident. She also had a dream that I got into a car accident, and I'm like, she told me this right before I was about to drive. I was like,
yeah. So it's actually quite similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a dream one time when I was younger that I was at a funeral and somebody was giving a speech up there, and I remember like the exact words she said in the speech. It was just like a little short,
like a phrase, like a snippet.
like a phrase.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, one of my relatives, I don't know I think it's like my dad's like uncle or aunt or somewhere. Well, they got in a car accident and the guy died.
Oh my God.
And then when we go to the funeral, I see the same lady in my dream right up there saying the same exact thing. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, right? Well, I think that's a good time to take a little bit of an intermission. We'll be right back. We're back. So, dude, the clairvoyance in itself is so interesting. The Conjuring movies, how she can like see. There's this one scene where she opens up the mirror of the toy and she sees behind.
Yeah.
The ghost. And it's just like, that's the thing though. Do we think that there is like for lack of a better analogy, midichlorians in Star Wars? So there are people who are born with those who become Jedi. Do you think, I just want to hear your opinion. Do you think that there are people who are born with like natural clairvoyance and can see into it? Or do you think that each person has a little bit? Or both?
I think it just depends. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think maybe some people can just see it naturally, and then like other people, it has to be like revealed to them from the spirit, I guess. That's
true. Like Teresa Caputo. Have you seen that? The Long Island Medium? Yeah. She talks and she's got really long nails. And she's a psychic. And she kind of like helps people with like passing like relatives and stuff like that. And stuff she says is usually pretty accurate, but it's on TV, so you never really know.
Well, my mom has like a friend who's a psychic, and like I've seen her, and like she knows things. She knows stuff. And
you're like that woman knows things she shouldn't know. We should, dude. How good of your friends is like your mom with her?
They're pretty good friends.
You should bring her on the show sometime.
It could be interesting. It's very interesting because I don't think she gets into it like ghost wise too much.
Yeah, but more like.
But like it's more like she like knows what was like going on in my life, and it was just weird.
That's so strange. Bring her on the show. I'm gonna be crying by the end of it. No, but like.
It's very interesting. I'm just like some people can be in tune with that.
Exactly.
Like, and I was skeptical, but like, okay, there's like some of the stuff that's like, there's no way she knows.
Right, exactly. Like super specific.
Yeah.
I've had a few tarot readings done on myself.
That's what she uses.
Okay, yeah. I've mixed. To me, there are two different types of tarot readings. There is 15-year-old white girl Tiffany.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is like Matilda, who's been doing it for like, it's been passed down through generations and stuff like that, like Turkish coffee and kind of stuff like that. Like I think the society is going more towards 15-year-old white girl Tiffany who just dyed her hair pink.
Mm-hmm. All these girls who think they're witches.
Exactly. It's like, I've been manifesting so much recently. I've been manifesting that my dinner's going to taste good tonight. And
look, this match is going out.
Right.
Yeah, the matches don't last long.
Wow, look at that. You bought $4 matches. You bought a $4 150 match pack. But it's like, no, I think spirituality is becoming such a widespread.
It's like a trend.
It is. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's a trend, and it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Look at these cool rocks I got.
Yeah, it's like, wow, I went to a metaphysical shop, and there was a man there who actually knows something about this, who's making a profit of all these chicks just going in and buying, like, crystal pillars. And, like, this crystal look cool. Ooh, rose quartz. Like, it's like, okay, wow. Good, that's awesome. Fool's gold. It's to me, it makes sense in some degrees. But I've had people try to convince me that they can move things with their mind. And, like, if you can harness the vibration of a solid object and take the energy from it and, like, shift it, you deserve to be God. Like, you literally deserve like your own Discovery Channel special at least.
Mm-hmm.
But back to like just kind of stories, I guess, is I've had tarot card readings, and some of them have been quite accurate, but at the same time, I notice when they're more accurate, they're also extremely, extremely broad. It's like, you want something more from life. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, we all do.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that I've had that were like actually accurate that I can kind of like give people who I was close to, which also makes me believe that like, you know, maybe they had an eye into my life, but at the same time, it's their interpretation of what tarot is. And like you said, that your mom's friend, like, she's probably actually more into it than somebody like White Girl Tiffany.
I think like some of the cards are obviously kind of broad.
Yeah.
But like the way she brings stuff up, like I'll give an example because it's not really that personal.
Right.
There was a time like earlier this summer when I was lifting weights and stuff. I put like 2 scoops of protein instead of one in my protein shake. Mm-hmm. And she just like, she basically said like, I'm mixing something and that I need to use less for it to work better.
That's so.
And it was like the weirdest.
That's thing. Actually really weird. And I think for a lot of people, like that's like,
and like she wouldn't know. Like exactly. There's no way.
Exactly. That is really strange. And I think for a lot of people, especially the people who do go to these like Tiffany's and are like, oh my God, you're such a genius. It's like, when you want something like this, you seek it out. Mm-hmm. You think how this could apply to your actual life. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're going to be like, no, that doesn't make any sense, because you're going to want it to work. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think you just need to go in.
I think like anything commercially
it loses its value at times. Mm-hmm. It's more quantity over quality. Especially like we have a few metaphysical shops around us, and I've been in them, and there are some legitimate things in there, but it's also like they have a bong room in the back. It's like, it just doesn't apply, I guess, in a way where I can kind of respect it. It's just more like, you know, sprawled about, instead of it being like, this is a place, it's kind of minimalistic. It's just, you come in and you get what you need and then you leave. It's instead of like it being an attraction, I guess. It's like, yeah, you got all these guys in the back. Of course they're going to see things. But yeah, no, I just, even like supernatural is more where I kind of have my experiences, but paranormal in general, I think, because you have a few just paranormal in general experiences that you were telling me about, but like that deer, that was one of them. I think that was
that was strange. That was strange. Definitely strange.
Do you have any other like experiences that you'd like to talk about?
Well, not like really spiritual or like, I guess, I don't know what you classify like aliens as.
Okay. Supernatural, maybe.
I guess. I'm not sure, but when I was really young, we used to go camping every year in Ohio.
Okay.
And one day I just look about in the sky out of nowhere, and there's this big silver shiny like oval sphere in the sky.
Jeez.
And it's like, there's not really active blimps anymore, you know? Like,
the Hindenburg is going over Ohio right now.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, I totally get what you're saying.
There was like a statistic, and there's like 6 active blimps in the United States or something stupid.
Wow.
But I look up, I see this thing, and it's like clearly metal, like a big shiny metal object in the sky. I'm like, and I stare at it, and I look down. Okay, I should go tell someone.
Right.
I look back up, it's vanished.
Disappeared. Did it have any like shape of a plane or anything like that?
No.
It was just circular.
Like, and it was like in the middle of the day, clear sky, clear as day.
Oh my gosh.
Like not nighttime.
How small were you? Like how?
I was young. Like training wheels on bike young.
Okay.
Like,
so like 10, 11.
I was very young.
No, but yeah, no, that's crazy. That I wish I saw it like a UFO or something like that. Like I can't. One of my ex-girlfriends, her mom, had to go over to her grandma's house because she thought that she saw a UFO. But that's another story for another time. We're not going to talk about that.
And it's like another thing. Like again, I was so young.
Right.
Like it. I don't even know if I really understood what aliens were
at the time, right? It's not like you were just gonna, and especially
then, like after that, I got into it,
right?
Because I think it's interesting.
Kids have imaginations, but not the types of imaginations where you
can't just like
make up
pull stuff out of the blue. Like,
exactly.
Usually a basis for something. That's why it's so weird when kids see something like disturbing, because like There's not like a basis for that.
Right, exactly. You once you get a more like an understanding concept of how the world works, that's where your imagination becomes more making like a basis, like you said. When you're little, you know like don't eat crayons and pull your pants down before you poop. Like that's all you know. You know what I mean? Like, and to have something that's that formed and being like seeing something like that, it's like.
Like I remember, like remember it clear as day, and like the weirdest, like it was like metal, but it had like the weirdest texture. Like it's weird.
Really, you saw that Israeli general that said that there's a space federation.
Yeah, I see.
Oh my gosh,
it's been confirmed that like there's been contact, right, and just nobody talks about it. Exactly. But like there's like official documents,
like a bunch of what did that happen? Like July or August when there was a bunch of documents that came off from the U.S. government saying that there was like. It was all declassified. There was a joke, and it was talking about when Donald Trump became president. This was back like 4 years ago. So he was going to go to Area 51 and take selfies in front of all the spaceships and be like, "You guys see this?" Dude, that. I mean, maybe we need somebody like that. To be honest, though, like I feel like what we don't know can hurt us, and I feel like we need to figure out what's going on because maybe, we started off with ghost stories and we're going towards aliens, but like I think. There needs to be, just in general, there needs to be more of an outreach to these things that are taboo. Like there needs to be an outreach into like, and it needs to be taken more seriously. I think in general, like I'm a very literal person. Like I'm a very I've gotten in trouble because of how much of a literal person I am. But when you get into terms of what you're looking at for like, these things are things that people actually have seen and like good accounts, and it's just not taken seriously. I feel like, and then people who are kind of into it, like I think we're seen as like. At school, we're seen as like normal, or like, but there's some chicks at school, like I said, like that those 15-year-old Tiffany's that are like, who I'm talking about, like they're just individuals who are into it. And I think they have a good heart. I think they are interested in. I think they've just gone down the easy route, and it's kind of more like I want to belong to something instead of I want to actually get delved into this. And there are people that are super delved into it, and I know of a few people who you might call a 15-year-old Tiffany who are actually really into it. And I can respect them for that because they actually get into the actual like religion of Wicca and stuff like that and like Sam Hain and stuff like that and all those. But there are just the chicks who just skim the surface and are like, oh, look at me. Look at me. I can make this rock float. It's like, no, you can't. You can't do that. Like, you can't do that. But they're so adamant. And you can't say anything or else you hurt their feelings. And there are dudes who are like that too. And it's just interesting. I think belonging to something is their biggest thing, and that's why people make up stories too. I have 1 or 2 more ghost stories that have to do with my family and not necessarily me. So the first one I'll start off with is not as bad. So my brother is quite a few years older than me, and so him and my sister were kind of around before I was. There's a large age gap there, and so we're kind of just. It's like I have 2 sets of parents, basically. And so my mom was telling me the story of how my brother, who was like 3, a lot of these are child encounters, if you think about it. He was like 3 and he came down the stairs. And any 3-year-old, they have a real tough time going down a actual set of stairs. Like down an actual, like, you know what I'm saying? Like decline. He says that, 3-year-olds, they have a standard vocabulary. They can kind of convey messages, describing words, adjectives. He says that a lady helped him walk down the stairs. My mom is home alone because my sister's a baby at this time, and my dad's out on the road. He's all over the country. He's working, and this is the scary part. There's a relative in my family. Her name is Madeline. She was the wife of one of my older relatives, who's no longer with us, but in kind of like more of like before I was around. He described her to a T. Like, to a T. And he said her name started with an M. He said she helped. I got chills all down my back right now. And he said that she helped him walk down the stairs so that he wouldn't fall.
That's wild.
That's terrifying to me. The next story is even more terrifying. Like, that's kind of like sweet. That's kind of like wholesome.
Kind of have something to like go off that.
Okay.
So I guess when I was like a baby, my mom has stories of like things that I've done.
Okay.
And I guess like one time when I was laying in the crib, like I lock eyes with something just like straight above me, and I like follow it across the room.
That's terrifying.
And I said, "Who's that lady?"
No, stop it! No, you didn't. That's terrifying.
You can ask my mom.
Let's get her on the show.
And my mom was like, what lady? And I was like, the auntie lady.
Oh my God.
Like, that's obviously I had no recollection of that because
right.
I was still in the crib, but
right.
I could talk early.
Yeah. You're like, the malfeasance of this crib, I can feel it. No, but dude, baby stories are the scariest. Like, that's why kids in scary movies are so scary because they just convey a sort of like deadness. Mm-hmm. Because in that purity, you also get a lack of like emotion sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so you just get like this. So the next story, which is my last, which is the scariest of them all, I feel like. And I think this might tie in. I don't know yet. I'd have to do some real brain picking, but I think this might tie into my first story. So when I was little, we used to live on a different road, like probably the south side of where we live today. And, you know, when it was just my brother and sister, I wasn't around yet, but there was a lot of things that were kind of happening in the works and stuff like that. I lived in a smaller house. So my sister and my brother slept on opposite sides of the hallway. And so there was one night where my brother and my sister were sleeping. So I don't know, I'm having such a hard time thinking about this. It's probably because I'm so terrified of what is about to happen. But my brother and my sister were sleeping. My mom gets up, and because she hears a little girl crying. And now my mom thinks nothing of it. She's like, okay, maybe I was just thinking. Dude, you can see how freaking terrified I am with this story. They get up. My mom gets up. She's like, she's not thinking anything of it. She's in the kitchen. My brother gets up and says, insert my sister's name here, why is she crying? And at this point, my mom is flipping her crap because she's terrible. She doesn't want to scare my brother. So they both heard the little girl crying. But when they like start mentioning it, she just stops crying. My sister was sleeping the entire time. That's terrifying. And then my mom had a dream that the little girl was crying in the street. This is a dream she had. She was crying in the street. Now, this could just be your generic nightmare, but this, she said, it sounded like the same crying. She gets up, she looks out the window onto the street, and the girl turns around, and half of her face is gone. I said, what did the girl look like? I asked my mom. She says, long black hair and in a white nightgown. The exact same girl that I saw sitting in my room when I was watching TV.
That's wild.
Isn't it?
Like dreams, it's hard.
It's hard to tie those in.
Because sometimes it's like, as far as we know, it's like random. It's just stuff you think of. But personally, I believe like dreams have like a way deeper meaning.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. And what if and somebody brings up a really good point. When you're sleeping, you're in a different state of consciousness. So your spirit could leave your body. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could still be alive. Oh, excuse me. You can still be alive. Your body can still be functioning.
Like the Insidious movies, kind of.
Exactly. And how he goes into that different plane when he falls asleep. And and the red guy. But Darth Maul. No, but it's just like, it's terrifying to think that these people are still suffering after they've died. Because there are bars.
Yeah, that's like a common thing. Like, they're not satisfied.
Exactly.
They have something to solve. And that's been like a thing forever.
For a long time. In so many different like religions and cultures. And when you think about like purgatory, that's a whole other topic. Mm-hmm. All right, I think it's time to take another little bit of an intermission.
Yep.
And then we'll get right back into it. All right, we have returned. Yeah. So prior to this episode, we asked around for some of our viewers and people that we knew personally to give us some of their accounts. And I believe we have the one right here.
One account.
Yes, one account. So. But I think even if we got a bunch, I feel like this would be.
You have to pick the best one.
Yeah. So. This account was. If you stop typing. This account is from one of my buddies who he's in my band. He was a Boy Scout, and he was talking to me about how Boy Scouts go on trips all the time. You know, they do camping. That's kind of run of the mill, kind of normal stuff. He said as soon as he got to one of his camps, he was a little bit younger. He got to one of his camps, he felt off. Like it just felt, you know, how you can walk into a place and it just kind of feels strange, like me walking into it. I think so. No, but any metaphysical shop. To be honest, I walked in one of those and I'm like,
it's weird. like on that topic, like there are like just some stores that I feel
like mystery spots.
Not even
it's
that.
strange.
Like I'll just like my body will start to hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Joanne Fabrics.
DSW shoe store.
I'm not joking.
You're just like, no, but he's talking about, he talks about it in the middle of the summer. They're all just kind of camping out. He was there with about 7 other kids, and they were setting up. So it turns out that the next morning, their trailer was out of the place that it was supposed to be, so they had to move it. They made breakfast like usual and kind of went, on with their days. And they found a property line. We do not advise crossing property lines. We gotta put the disclaimer: we don't advise crossing private property lines. But if there's something cool on the other side, you kind of have to. So he just talks about how he crosses over, which is a terrible idea. He says it's about an 80-degree day, not a cloud in the sky, kind of like you mentioned with the UFO. So they cross over, and there's a bunch of wind gusts. 80-degree days, you see some wind gusts, but like not anything as strong as he described it. Apparently, after they started crossing this threshold, I guess, he says he starts feeling even weirder, and he starts hearing screaming and like just noise and kind of rustling and stuff like that. And he says the other guys that are with him also start hearing it. Now, this is where it gets a little weird, and I'm glad you told me about this because this is very interesting, and I'm getting chills again. He says that they were walking, and right where they found where the creek that kind of connected back to their original spot, there was a bridge. And they said they saw a translucent woman jump off the bridge into the creek. He said everybody saw it. That's terrifying.
That is terrifying.
That's so scary. Kind of like we were talking about reliving your death. He says they kind of scrammed out of there and went back as quick as they could back to their camp. And they didn't sleep at all. I wouldn't sleep at all either. Knowing that's wild. Knowing that that's there, I would not have slept either. He goes on to talk about that he kept like just packing stuff up, but he says that he heard people talking to him while he was packing up that nobody else heard. Like other than the boys who went there, they all heard like people saying like, what does he say exactly? He says people saying, "Hurry up, and you're doing it wrong." He says he heard like people whispering that to him while they were packing up all their stuff.
That's wild. That's
like getting something attached to you.
That's scary.
That's like a Waco situation where you have a bunch of people living on private property and then there's like suicide cults. Like that's terrifying. But I'm very glad that that he told me this because especially when you have a group of people that are experiencing.
Yeah, when it's like a group, it's so much more like
it's you can think it's real. So, he went on to mention earlier that he was like, the reason that they were so involved in this is because if you hear somebody screaming, Boy Scouts are all trained in like first aid and knots and stuff like that. So they're trying to do their job. And I guess, when you hear somebody in distress, your first isn't always, I'm going to go help them. It's like, I need to see what's going on. Mm-hmm. But they said that they were trained in first aid, but that's terrifying. Like that's so scary. And that, in the grand scheme of, in stories, it doesn't get much better than that. Especially when private property, like, things can happen. Like, even in movies like Wrong Turn, where it's that cannibal family, just stuff like that, like, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, that's wild. I don't even know what to say about that.
Right, like, that's really scary. But I'm glad that we're getting kind of more of like a viewer, kind of interest in this stuff. But because we'd love to have more stories and stuff like that. And chances are, if somebody comments down below or messages us directly, then we'd be able to talk about a topic that somebody's interested in. But
interesting thing, kind of like relating to Boy Scouts. Not really paranormal, but just like kind of freaky.
Yeah.
So I on cross country. We did a cross country camp one time. We went to a Boy Scout camp.
Yeah.
And we were running on the trails and stuff, but they were more walking trails, not really meant for running. Okay. So we had like no idea where we were going.
Right.
And eventually, we got to a point. We found an actual pet cemetery.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It
was just a sign that said dog graves.
Who would do that?
And I didn't know, because we weren't really in like areas where there'd be like houses.
Right. More like a
basic. Yeah, it was like there was like a road, and it was like a U basically.
Okay.
We crossed crossed that and went into like where like the inside of the U.
Okay. And that's where
it was.
That's terrifying.
And it was just weird. Like nothing weird happened there. Or it was just
that's one of those places where you get that weird vibe.
Like the last thing I was expecting to see.
Now. So I do have one more story. Just remembered it. My cousin is a priest over in a church over in Pennsylvania. That's where he did like his when he was a monk and stuff like that. And then he went over and he became a deacon. And so I've been there twice. I've been there when he became a deacon, and I've been there when he became a priest. Because there's like a lot of like ceremonies and stuff like that. And where this place is, it is a beautiful church. It's built in the 1800s. It's a giant basilica, and you have like, the ceiling's painted. You have all these different like tiles and stuff like that, like stained glass windows. It's beautiful. I've like prayed in there. I've like actually felt like I was, integral to that kind of place and time. First time I went, when I was becoming a deacon, I was about 13 or 14, maybe a little older. And I go upstairs because my mom forgot her purse. That's where our rooms are, because they're usually dormitories for the people who are on site, because it's also a college.
Yeah.
And so we go up there, and I grab a purse, and I hear somebody coughing. I was like, oh, there must have been like a priest up there, because I saw the shadow of a man coughing. And I didn't think much of it, because you see priests over there all the time. And so, you kind of, I go back downstairs, and my aunt, who is the mother of my cousin who's becoming a deacon at this time, she's like, there's nobody else up there. And I was like, hold on. At this point, I'm like, hold the phone, okay? She's like, there was, however, a priest that always went up there and looked at the windows, and he died of lung cancer. And at this point, I'm out of there. Yeah. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. She said, yeah, he used to just stand by the window, and he said they would always hear him cough.
That's wild.
And I was
That's actually crazy.
I was like, you know what? I had chills all over my face, my arms. I'm like, I gotta get out of there. Like, it was terrifying. And I've been back since, and nothing happened the second time because we were staying in a different like place. But when you are in a place of like utmost religious, just like ceremonies like that, where you can just kind of like see everything happening, where like at points, the people who are becoming priests have to lay down, kind of like sacrifice themselves to, the Lord and stuff like that. It's like, that's terrifying. Like, just being in a place where that energy has kind of culminated. It's incredible. But God, is it terrifying? Like, fear of God, like, that's a huge concept for me. Like everybody's like,
yeah, I think like anything like spiritual, no matter like what type of religion or what type of belief it is, anywhere that has like significance like that, there's like some kind of like
history.
There's like a presence kind of, especially like old, like things built in the old times.
It's just like when you're sitting down and you can feel all this energy coming from somewhere. It's like, this is insane. Like when you watch like old film from like the 1940s, and when they have giant church masses and like everybody's saying the same prayer, like even if it's just Our Father, if it's like a Latin prayer, because we have a church around here that does a Latin. It's a Catholic church that does a Latin mass. It's all in Latin, and I want to go see it. I'd like to sit in. I think that's something people should be able to kind of sit in, even if they aren't. Like, I'm baptized, but like I feel like people should be able to kind of experience it, even if they aren't. Just to kind of see.
It's such like a weird topic, like religion, and like kind of like exploring other religions in a way because it's like frowned upon. But I don't know. I find it interesting.
Yeah, like I've always kind of stuck to one kind of like I have my own beliefs 100%, but I think just in general, exploring isn't terrible. I know it's like back then I was like, you know what I mean? Like, don't do that. Like heathenists, but I think in general they have a lot more in common. But I think they do have a lot of differences. But I think there are some.
Yeah, all religions have like similar.
Yeah.
They all have like parallels. Like in every religion, there was a flood.
Yep.
Every religion.
And Jesus is very coherent through many different religions. Like, or a concept like Jesus, a martyr.
And like the creation of man stories, all very similar, apart from like Norse mythology. Yep. That's like the only different one.
Yeah. It's insane. It's Abraham makes an appearance in all three major religions. Just when you're looking at in terms of characters that are kind of integral, like Isaac, the killing of Isaac, or the sacrifice of Isaac, when God was like, how much do you care about me? And then Abraham was like, enough to stab my son. And then he's like, no, I gotcha. But, I think in general, it's personal experiences regarding religion are very important because you can tie them back into things that you see. But I think personal experiences are what got us into this, and I don't think I want to come out of it. So it's a very interesting concept. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
I guess like one more thing.
Yeah.
Another story from when I was a baby, probably around the same age as the last one.
Yeah.
Same thing happened. I'm sitting on the couch, eyes locked across the room, go across the room, and I guess I'm like, "Hey Lou, where are you going?"
What? What in the world? Do you have any relatives named Lou?
Not relatives.
Just like, that's insane. Is there any significance to like that name or anything like that? Because how old were you?
Like young. I'm like a baby.
Right. And you're like, I've made friends.
I guess so.
The concept of imaginary friend doesn't start until you're like at least like 4 or 5. Like that's insane. I hope I keep having more experiences. As I've gotten older, they've kind of slowed down a little bit.
Mainly now. My most recent thing was at my birthday, obviously the whole grandma situation. But I see like my dreams have been very interesting recently.
Oh yeah. See, my dreams are too real. They're never like supernatural, paranormal. They're like actual, feasible. Like, I hate it. Like I used to have like nightmares every single night, and they were really bad regarding like people that I cared about and stuff like that. Just things happening to them or them doing things, and that was really tough. But I think, like you said, subconscious. Maybe they're trying to tell you something. I think that's just important to think about. Our minds are very powerful, but there's got to be something out there that's spirits that are just more powerful. So
it's like looking back to like when I was like younger, me and my friends would always like ghost hunt and stuff.
Right.
And like looking back, we'd like put something somewhere, then we'd go away, somebody here, and then it'd be moved. And like looking back, somebody was like probably moving it,
right?
Obviously. But it's like at the time you believe so much.
It's true.
That like, and that's just like a thing, like people can trick themselves.
100%. 100%. And I think, especially when you're looking at, you need to have an open mind when you're looking at something like this. Because if you're skeptical, you're going to dismiss everything immediately. You're going to be like, oh, that was just the wind. Or, oh, that was just, something else. I think there needs to be something to happen in front of those people who are skeptical that's so unexplainable that it's like, okay, now I have to. And that's what I feel like has happened to me. You know what I mean?
Like my dad, for example, another weird story about the grandma's ashes is they were in the garage because that's where like the party was. Mm-hmm. Something weird happened while it was like just him out there. Mm-hmm. Like he was out there and either like the TV turned itself off or turned itself on.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's
he's like we gotta get rid of this.
Yeah, we gotta go. But it's crazy when you're looking at all these different stories, and especially when they're coming from so many different people and groups of people. But just gotta keep making yourself available is the biggest thing. Make yourself spiritually available. Clear your mind, because if you're thinking about a bunch of other things, you're not gonna be able to comprehend anything spiritual. And that's the main takeaway for me, I guess. So, yeah, very interesting subject. Very terrifying. I got chills probably 40 times during this entire episode, but I think I'm very excited for the episodes to come. And I'm very excited to hopefully have more experiences in myself, as scared as I might get, because God knows I'm going to see something and just become absolutely terrified because it's unknown, and that's where fear comes from. But yeah. Well, all right.
One more thing.
Yeah.
To wrap things up.
Right.
I just remembered one little.
No, I know. I keep getting like these little like spurs of
keep coming up, but this will be the last thing.
No worries.
Went to go with my friends. Like there's like this storm drain.
Mm-hmm.
Went to explore the storm drain and big gates. We have to lift the gate and go in there. We go in there, and obviously there's like sewer grates on top.
Right.
And the way the light was shining in, it looked like a person was hanging there.
Oh,
it was
Jesus!
Like I stared at it. We stared at it for like a solid few minutes because we all seen it. It looked so much
scary.
like a person.
That's so terrifying.
To like I was scared. Like I didn't know what to do.
Right, you kind of just freeze. You're like, oh,
like is that a guy?
Right.
Like, and it's weird. It was just like the weirdest thing. because it looked so real
Right.
in that moment. Like, I guess the light had to be the perfect way to make the form of a man hanging. It was just the weirdest thing.
That's terrifying. We need to have an episode where we get night vision cameras and then just like go places.
It would be interesting to like set up temporarily in like a little building or something.
I have this equipment. I mean, the equipment we have, like we can move it. You know what I mean? But you know, when you're looking at all the places and stuff, there are a lot of different things that we could do where we could just go out into the like, field agents, you know, kind of experience. But I think in general, in the grand scheme of things, we got a lot ahead of us. And we definitely have a lot more to explore. For sure. So I think that's a good way to wrap it up.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I've been Dominic.
And I've been Gavin.
And we got a lot more coming.
Yeah.
A lot more of me probably peeing my pants. But all right. Thank you for watching. Make sure to do all the stuff. You know, follow our podcast, subscribe, and
like the video.
Yes, please.
And donate $2.75 to Wikipedia.
Yes.
So I can keep making
Yes, please. Because if the site shuts down, we're going to have to go to the library, and we don't want to do that. So, all right. Well, thank you for watching, and hope you have a good rest of your day.